I want to jump to this story from the Daily Mail. Biden administration sued for censoring free speech. Lawsuit accuses President Karine Jean-Pierre, Mary Poppins of disinformation, and slew of officials of a disturbing amount of collusion with social media firms to quash critical stories. Republican attorneys general of Louisiana and Missouri are behind the lawsuit. It names 67 government officials or entities as having worked hand in hand with social media companies to censor stories on elections, COVID, and the economy. They're seeking to depose key defendants and will ask a judge on Friday. This egregious attack on our First Amendment will be met with an equally full-hearted defense of the rights of the American people, Louisiana AG Landry said. So just a moment ago in the previous segment, Kathy, you were mentioning that, well, I guess the gist of the idea is people need to know what's really going on. They need to be able to challenge the politicians. They need to be able to understand what's happening in their communities. But now you have more and more evidence piling up that the government is actually working with big tech to make sure people can't know what's actually happening in their communities.
Yeah.
So when we talk about why it is that a poor person would keep voting Democrat, it's because they are being locked in. They're locked in a bubble where they can't get accurate information. It's becoming increasingly harder. Now, I do think, with all that being said, we are still winning this cultural battle. We're seeing, The Daily Show, Trevor Noah's quitting, CNN's in a death spiral, Brian Stelter's canceled. All of these awful narrative mongers, smear merchants, are being ousted, losing their positions of power and influence. And regular people are finding their voices through the internet. What we see here is the government desperate to make sure you don't know what's actually going on around you.
And that's a problem. That's a problem, right? Can you imagine if Trump had weaponized the FBI, the media, Facebook and Google, and how minds would be blown right now? Yeah. People's hair would be on fire. They'd be running through glass pane windows, right? The world would be coming to an end. But it's so un-American. And I believe it is just so very dangerous. Think about the first 5 rights of the First Amendment: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to, Lord, I'm forgetting because I'm on television right now, but freedom of speech, freedom of religion,
press,
freedom of the press, freedom to
mobilize. What's that?
No, not mobilize, but
peaceably assemble.
Peaceably assemble.
Peacefully assemble.
That's one form
and
of mobilization.
Redress of grievances.
Yes, exactly right. And now, but when you go, it's all 5 of them. But when you go down all 5 of them, you will see how this particular administration has just pounced on people's just basic fundamental rights, right? Freedom of speech. Go out there on Twitter and put in monkeypox and see what happens to you, right? Like they're shutting all of that kind of conversation down. Talk about, COVID and the vaccines or any of those particular things. And there are certain sites that will shut your conversation down altogether.
Like, YouTube. Like YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I go figure. And so, and then you wonder why people are, when we were on the campaign trail for 13 months, we were traveling over 1,500 miles every single week. And we were going all across Pennsylvania. And I saw, and the people are just amazing. We have some of the most amazing people within the Republican Party, but I can assure you, people are stressed. People are like in little pressure cookers right now, right? And then when they want to express themselves and speak out and talk about the various issues that are concerning them, and now they're told, well, you can't. We're going to suppress. We're going to shadow ban. We're going to, boot you off altogether. That is not creating a healthy environment for our country. And that's just on social media. Now you begin to talk about, inflation and gas prices and what's going on, on the precipice of World War III, all of these particular pressures, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think the demoralization, it leads towards mental poverty. Like you were saying, you never felt like a victim growing up. And because of that, you were basically wealthy. You may not have had money. You don't need necessarily money to have a wealthy state of mind, friends and family, and love and desire to create.
I was loved. I was loved. I was cared for.
And because of that, you created something great.
Yeah.
And people that have no faith or that think that they're victims and are living that lifestyle may tend towards destroying themselves or allowing themselves to be destroyed.
But think about it. If you're living in a culture where every time you turn around as a young black man, let's just say, as a young black straight man, let's just say, everywhere you turn, you're being told you're a victim. You're being told you're inferior. You're being told that, that because you have white skin, you have privileges that my brown skin does not provide me, that somehow my brown skin is barring me from a world that your white skin man gives you access to. Can you imagine if that is your daily diet, morning, noon, and night, how you will show up in the world, right? And that is the narrative.
You know, regarding the censorship stuff, I feel like not that states have revolted for less, but that like if you pressure people living that they can't have normal conversations in their daily life, they're going to tell you to screw yourself and they're going to form their own government. And if 39 states in the United States told the federal government, no more, no, you're not going to censor us. We live free in our states. The problem is if state governments start censoring their own people, that's why we built a federal government, was to protect people from states overreaching on their citizens. So it's the first time we've been in this. Well, that's basically Shays Rebellion is an example of the Massachusetts government just imprisoning people at will, bringing in
the federal government can't actually pardon people for state crimes.
No, but it can send in federal troops to make sure that a state doesn't like the freeing
if it's
of
violating the Constitution.
Exactly.
If it's violating the federal Constitution.
Yeah. And this is kind of the first time in our history that we've had a situation where people feel like the federal government is infringing on their rights more than their states. And it's, I don't know, tenably, like you, Luke, you were saying you feel like it's like this order, this change of order. I'm not sure how you phrased it earlier. Maybe it's just inevitably the liberal economic order, the American-led rules-based international economy is fading away, and we're just seeing like the struggling death throes of a. But the thing is, that's not it, because it's us. It's the people of the United States.
No.
We're leading this thing.
The Uniparty, for the longest time, was an elite class. Look at the media. For the longest time, if you wanted to be a journalist, you had to come from a rich family. Because the companies were based in New York City, the big ones. And if you wanted to work there, you had to be an intern, meaning you weren't getting paid or you're getting paid very little. And how can you afford to live in New York City getting paid very little? Your parents paid your bills. Right. This was a well-known problem in the media industry, even up to 10 years ago. And it probably is still a problem in New York, though it's probably been alleviated to a certain degree. Now we're seeing that regular little old people can take a GoPro, put it on their monitor screen and talk for a few minutes and eventually grow that into a podcast where they have a voice. That's changing the game. And this means the establishment uniparty is losing that class-based control they've had for the longest time.
And they had tried to consolidate their power with the corporation legalities where you can like say, hey, you can't sue me. You can't take anything from me. You got to take it from that fake corporation I built. And then they can move their corporation offshore, have bank accounts offshore. And they're basically the oligarchs running the uniparty is this wealthy corporatist.
It's pretty simple here. Tyrants can't rule if they can't control information because people will speak out against their tyranny. And this is exactly what they're doing and what they've been doing. I've been screaming about this for many years now. People called me a conspiracy theorist. People called me a kook. People said I was insane. I was crazy. There's no way that the federal government is involved when it comes to censorship of big tech social media. They're private companies. They get to decide and do whatever they want themselves because they're private entities. Let the free market speak. And I was screaming on the top of my lungs, it is not a free market. It never was a free market. Intelligence agencies helped start up a lot of these major corporations. And on the other hand, who's playing with their phone right now?
It's getting hot.
Was that you or me?
I think it was Kathy.
Put the phone down, ma'am. Pay attention. And truly, what is happening here is them saying, you know what? We're going to go after comedians, scientists, doctors, medical professionals, politicians. We don't care. We're just going to censor and shut everyone up for our own personal benefit because we want to control every aspect of this existence, including the thoughts in your head. And that right there is just too much power for any individual to have. They should be sued out of town. They should lose their positions of power because they were very irresponsible with it. And they're endangering all of us by trying to literally enact thought control.
So my concern is that even if they're sued and they are told legally you can't do it anymore, and they're like, okay, we'll stop. The private companies are private companies. They've got like the PRISM spy network. We know that they have like secret spying networks that they'll just do it anyway. I mean, that's my concern is like de facto rule. How do we really, you need encryption, you need decentralized communication sources.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.